Then let us go.
How's it going, fellas? I'm OrosZ, and this is another episode of Mortal Kombat. And in today's episode, we're gonna play as Sub-Zero, who we played twice as in this game. One says he's a normal human, and one says he's a stupid-ass cyborg robot such as Sector who just showed up. No, it's Cyrax. I keep getting them confused. Last episode I kept calling Sector Cyrax, and now I'm calling Cyrax Sector. We played as Cyrax a while back, and he was still a human being, and now he's a dumbass robot who I hate. Like I was saying, I think Cyber Lin Kuei is the dumbest part of all of Mortal Kombat's lore. By the way, I was recording a bit of like Borderlands stuff, and I was streaming it a lot, so I recommend you maybe go and check out my Twitch if you want to maybe catch me live and like ask me some stuff if you want, talk about stuff. I really wish somebody would come over and talk to me. I haven't talked to any people in a long time, even if they're just text on my screen. At least I know somebody's behind that text actually asking me stuff. By the way, Witcher Season 2 came out recently, and I heard it sucks, which is kind of disappointing, to be honest. I also heard a lot of like, what the hell's the guy who plays Geralt? He also played Superman. What's his name? Mark Cavill, something like that. I heard he was talking about how he really would love to play more video game adaptations like Witcher, like he would love to play in a Red Dead Redemption movie. He does kind of look like Arthur Morgan. He looks a little bit too good for Arthur Morgan. I think the guy who played Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2 could easily play him in a movie, because they modeled out Arthur Morgan after that guy, so it makes sense. He would also sound just like Arthur Morgan, so you know it would make more sense in my opinion. Also, if they adapted Red Dead 2 into like a whole story, that'd be actually pretty fucking awesome. Yeah, and speaking of Witcher, and it's disappointing second season from what I heard. I haven't seen it myself yet, but I heard bad things about it. I'm surprised they lost. Sub-Zero is like way better than Smoke, who we played this last episode, who I had a lot of trouble defeating Sub-Zero and Reptile. But that wasn't the real Sub-Zero, that was Shang Tsung dressed as Sub-Zero. Even though, like I said, in the game that was Sub-Zero, but in the story that was Shang Tsung dressed as Sub-Zero. I got this Witcher-themed Oshi energy drink here. It's energy water. I should have read that before I bought it, because I already had a sip of it before. And when I had that first sip, I was like, oh, it just tastes like water, like fruit-flavored water, which in this case the fruit is grenade, or whatever the fuck you call that fruit, I don't know. Grenade? I think it's grenade, actually. It's both a weapon and a fruit. And actually looks kind of like a grenade. Just funny. I wonder which name came first. What if they named the grenades after some other fruit, like pineapple? There is a grenade that's like called a pineapple, because it kind of looks like it.
Round 3, fight.
It's like typical grenade. I think in Half-Life that's the grenade you use. Yeah, so Sub-Zero's way better than Smoke. He is also Smoke's friend at this point, I guess. I don't know if he's his master, because I'm assuming both Sub-Zero and Smoke were in Lin Kuei back when Noob Saibot was still Sub-Zero and the master of Lin Kuei. Actually, as we later find out in the story, I think we do, it turns out Sub-Zero's not the leader of Lin Kuei. Some old nameless man is the leader of Lin Kuei, who I think gets killed. And it's like, who the fuck was he? Yeah, so it is a little bit cool that we play both normal Sub-Zero and Cyber Sub-Zero. They should have called him Cyber Zero or something. But spelled with an S. Cyber Zero.
The readings were getting stronger and now they're gone.
Boobies.
Sub-Zero?
I hate you so much.
But you're dead.
She has a badge on her nips too.
I am not the Sub-Zero.
Should have 2 badges on both.
He was my brother.
Your brother?
I am only here to learn Sub-Zero's fate.
Yeah, Noob Saibot, the previous
He was killed by someone named Scorpion.
Sub-Zero. His name was Bihan.
Try the Colosseum.
This Sub-Zero's name is what's his name?
You have disturbed our regeneration process.
I don't know. My favorite character in Mortal Kombat, check it out. Ermac shows up. Ermac shows up and immediately probably does the goriest thing that happens in the story of this game. Because now that I think about it, we're playing Mortal Kombat, but so far we haven't really had anything gory happen. The only things that happened were like people beating each other up, but that's not very gory. Now this is a bit gory. Pretty epic. She fucking burnt his arms. I really wish he ripped off his arms and didn't just exploded them. He also said he would like to play a Warhammer show, but I don't really know much, like anything about Warhammer. But you know what's funny? I've seen an interview kind of on the internet making its rounds of him giving an interview to like some asshole, and he was talking about how one of his hobbies is painting Warhammer figurines, which he later play with. So like I said, I don't know anything about Warhammer, so I don't know really what the fuck the game is about. So they have wars using your toy armies and shit. And the interviewer just like made fun of him. And it's like, fuck, piece of shit. Such a fucking cocksucker. He looks like such a fucking cock too. The interviewer. Fucking 60-year-old cuck. Man, I can kind of understand getting my ass handed to me by Ermac, because he's pretty badass. Like I said before, what I don't like about Ermac, I love his character, but I hate playing as him. Because he has a lot of like moves that are kind of lame. Like he does a lot of like attacks where he uses magic. And I would rather have my Mortal Kombat character just like beat the shit out of their enemies instead of use magic. For example, Kenshi is a character that's really cool. I think he was my favorite character to play as an MKX. Because he just has like a sword and that he beats the shit out of people with, which is awesome. Sub-Zero here is really cool. He has this ice sword that he makes spawn in his hands. We have a projectile battle. Both of our characters have projectiles. I freeze with my projectiles, but I think Ermac's projectiles just hit me. I don't know which are better. This episode's kind of short, actually. Not as long as last one. I mean, all of these episodes are like about the same, except the last one, which I think is like an hour long, because, well, you probably know why the last episode is an hour long if you played this game before, or heard anything about it. It's the infamous fight with Shao Kahn at the very end.
Sub-Zero wins.
Get comments on my channel. I got a lot of comments recently that like made no fucking sense. Like somebody tried to compliment me, but I don't think they speak English very well, and they were like saying something like, I don't know, I'm gonna look it up. What the fuck is it? This video is super quality, and he even played GTA Trilogy, but no one... Fuck did it say? But no one watched it. I think he's referring to me when he says he. Well, he should have said you. It's like he left this comment under someone else's video about me. They're like, I think he was talking about me. Someone else gave me some kind of fucking heart emoji. It's like a bunch of fucking bots or some shit. I mean, it's better than fucking sub for sub. Begging. I don't really like that idea, sub for sub. Neither am I gonna watch the person who I sub to, and neither they're gonna watch me. And even if I make an effort to pretend that I watch them and I'll be like, oh, this video was great without me watching it,
I must go to the Coliseum.
they probably wouldn't do the same.
There's a portal to the
So,
south.
like, why would I even bother with pretending to have watched someone's content? Motherfucker, is that what you meant to say? It's Mortal Kombat, you don't really need to cut yourself off with swear words. They wouldn't want to get an M rating. Man, this looks really shitty. Like anytime we're like outside and there's like a lot of lighting going on, it looks all of a sudden really shitty. Was that supposed to be Noob Saibot? No, that's just like a random Lin Kuei grunt. He's not supposed to be Noob Saibot, right?
You must kill me.
He looks really dumb. Who sang that? She sang that? Oh no, Shao Kahn is disappointed because Kitana is not doing what he's telling her to because he's her kind of father. The story behind that is that Kitana was a princess of Edenia, a different realm, kind of like Nether Realm and Earth Realm are two different realms. Edenia is a completely different one.
I challenge Scorpion,
And Kitana was a princess in there. Sindel was the queen, and there was another guy, I forgot what his name was. I think it's Jared or something like that. Pro Jared. Pro Jared was the king of Edenia, and Shao Kahn, once he invaded that Earth, that realm, he killed Jared. He claimed ownership of Edenia, which I don't know really what that meant. We never really go to Edenia in Mortal Kombat story, so I don't really know what happened to it. And there's two different versions. There's a version where Shao Kahn made Sindel evil with his magic, or there's a version that Sindel was already evil and she willingly betrayed her husband and killed him. And then became husband to Shao Kahn. And then Kitana, I guess, unwillingly became Shao Kahn's daughter, which she didn't really like. So she kind of disobeyed his father. That's why it led to the creation of Melina, who was made by combining the DNA of Kitana with the Baraka, I mean the Tarkatan DNA, which Tarkatans are the race that Baraka belongs to. See what I'm talking about? I really like Mortal Kombat's lore, but I'm not a big fan of actually playing Mortal Kombat. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan. I like playing Mortal Kombat. It's not like, I don't like love it. Kind of like with Borderlands, where I'm also really into Borderlands' lore. But with Borderlands, I also really fucking love playing Borderlands. So that's why Borderlands is my favorite franchise of all time. Not only do I love the characters, the lore, the story, I also love the gameplay. I love everything about it, except the first game, which I made really clear in my Borderlands 1 Let's Plays and all of the DLCs. I think I found out the method, I just gotta freeze people. Look, we fought the red ninja, Ermac, now we're fighting the green one again. And I guess Direct is kind of a ninja too, he's like yellow except he's not Scorpion. I was gonna make a racist joke when we were introduced to Cyrex or Sector or whatever the fuck, but I held back. Not gonna tell you what it was because I kind of forgot what it was.
That is not my purpose.
Something about how Lin Kuei should have never allowed black people in or something. Not like I thought that. The joke was that Sub-Zero was gonna say that.
They fight and die for your amusement.
That's why it was a joke and not my actual
My brother
opinion.
participated in this folly. I do so only to face his killer.
You know what, I don't think we ever had the moment where it said like, oh, 10 years later or something like that. We just all of a sudden get introduced to a new Sub-Zero and we're like, oh, so that's supposed to be the same guy? Or is it a new Sub-Zero? Also, does that mean Scorpion is just chilling with demons in hell and he comes out of hell whenever he's summoned? It kind of makes Scorpion seem like a little bitch of Quan Chi. Which I don't really like that idea, that Scorpion's a little bitch, which he never is really. He's kind of a bitch, but not a little bitch. I watched some more Star Trek recently, which I don't know why. I watched like the first episode of season 2 and then I like didn't follow that with anything. I just like completely stopped watching it, but I finally fucking sat down and watched episode 2, which is a really funny episode. Basically, the story of this episode is like, what if Greek gods were actually aliens? And they genuinely existed. I think I fucking... What the hell did I do? I was crouching.
Round 2. Fight!
So, Enterprise is just flying around space like they usually do. Scotty appears in this episode, and I hope we see more of Scotty, because he is honestly one of my favorites. He's kind of the fourth main character, like Captain Kirk being the first main character, then the Spock followed closely. Then there's McCoy, and then like a step backwards, and there's Scotty. Scotty, like for example, wasn't in the first episode, and I was kind of worried maybe he wouldn't appear as much. Like Scotty really became, like he was in season 1, but he didn't like became very important to the stories of episodes until like the second half of season 1. Which I really like Scotty. Also something about season 1. There was this like woman, I forgot her name, not Okura. It was like a blonde chick who kept appearing throughout the first half of season 1, and she kept being like a plot device For example, there was an episode where they found this like weird guy who lived on a planet for a very long time, even though he shouldn't be able to survive. And then he had these weird abilities where he could like stare at people and change them into things. And he fell in love with that chick. And then she didn't like him back because he's a weirdo. And that led to him getting really angry. And, you know, almost fucking destroying Enterprise. I think it might have been like episode 3 or 2 of season 1. It was like one of the first episodes. Yeah, and she was in it, and then in the second half of season 1, she completely disappeared. I failed that fucking X-ray really badly. That was my fucking trump card, and it fucking burned down. Well, it seems like, I mean, I so far only seen 2 episodes, but it seems like they got a new hot chick. And I don't really know what the purpose of the first hot chick was, but this hot chick claims that she's like an archaeologist, and she specializes in ancient cultures. Which I suppose does help when you find new alien ancient cultures on new planets. And Scotty has a huge crush on her. No wonder, because fucking she's kind of hot. Also, there's a character, there's like more characters that are kind of like secondary. Like Uhura, for example. She never really became like focus of any of the episodes, but she's always kind of in the back. Sulu. And there's another guy. I think he was in season 1, but he like sometimes he was one of the navigators along with Sulu, and sometimes he wasn't. And he's like a Russian guy. I think his name is Dima, something like that. Or Yuri. I don't know, something Russian. So they're flying around and they like pass by some Earth-looking planet. And a giant, stupid-ass, really dumb-looking hand reaches to grab Enterprise, and it just grabs it. It kind of reminds me of Courage the Cowardly Dog, with the like white floating head. Like how the whole thing is like a cartoon, but there's like a human head floating around. Really creepy. I always felt like such a badass when I was a kid when I watched Courage the Cowardly Dog, because it made me feel like, man, this is creepy as fuck, but I'm not scared. Again, I'm losing. Man, Scorpion's kicking my ass. Another ninja we're fighting. A lot of ninja matchups when I'm playing as one. I like that though. That's a good thing. You wanna see ninjas fight in Mortal Kombat, right? Yeah, and giant hand grabs them. They're like, what the fuck's going on? We detected no life forms on that planet. And then a face shows up, and I was like, oh my god, did the Enterprise encounter God itself? Or I guess himself in this case. Because it's like a guy. But he did came off as like a Greek god, because he had like this bullshit around his head. Kind of like with Jesus' head. No, Jesus had like a thorn crown, but this guy had like what the Olympic champions got when they fucking won the Olympics. You know, they got like a crown made of like gold and shit. I might not know what the fuck I'm talking about if I think about it. So they go to the surface of this planet and shit, and it looks really unimpressive. I know this is like a small budget show from the 60s. But thinking about like actually being to Greece and seeing all the Greek architecture and how impressive it is, and that it's like 1,000 years old. And then this guy, who is actually supposed to be Apollo, the god of light, who I don't really understand why they left Earth, since they were worshipped and apparently they were genuine gods. So I don't know why they left Earth, if they had followers there, if people worshipped them. I don't really understand why they left, but they did. I think he says why they left at some point, but I kind of forgot why the fuck. Because it didn't make much sense, like they could have usually just not leave. And I guess just rule Earth as its true god. But the point is, Apollo's all alone on this planet because all the other gods, I think, lost all the faith that humans will ever reach them, and they just kinda died. It seems like that's when gods die, when they lose faith in their followers, which very profound now that I think about it, because I guess that really is how gods die, when they lose their followers. That's why no one believes in Greek gods anymore. I always wonder, like, why the hell does nobody believe in Greek gods anymore? I think it's because, well, you can't go to the top of the Olymp mountain and it finds out there's no god sitting there. And also the guy who plays Apollo is super fucking ripped. And I guess he must have never seen a woman in all this time he spent waiting for humans to reach his planet. Because he immediately starts... Also, he goes super big for no reason. I don't really know why the fuck he did that. I think to show off his powers. And that he can squeeze Enterprise at any point. Also, he doesn't really like Vulcans. It's like he doesn't allow Spock to come to the planet with them. So Spock is just sitting on the ship. He's kind of taking a backseat in this episode. Scotty's kind of more important, to be honest. This episode's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, so he has a crush. Both Scotty and Apollo now at this point have a crush on the girl. And, you know, Scotty might be cool and everything, but I don't think he can compete with a genuine fucking god who has superpowers, which, I mean, he is a god, but he's more of an alien. As we find out. I guess that, I mean, what I said before, gods are just aliens. That's the concept of this episode. What if Greek gods were actually aliens who looked like humans and they just visited Earth? And people started worshipping them, and they just fucking accepted that. Scotty gets his ass kicked by like a lightning strike. He just like shocks him with like lightning out of his fingers. Apollo then, it's not Scotty shocking anybody. I don't think Scotty can do that. Yeah, so Apollo's like, why don't you all come out of your spaceship to the planet? Why don't all of humanity come to this planet and we can just live in heaven? It's like Eden, I guess, because this planet's pretty nice. And we can just all start living like in ancient Greece. You're gonna give me sacrifices and stuff like that. I guess he doesn't understand that humanity moved on from the need to actually believe in gods. Like, I'm still sure like a lot of characters believe in gods in Star Trek. But like at this point in Star Trek, humanity conquered space. We have space travel. We don't really need to worship a guy and give him sheep as sacrifice. It sounds like a huge step back for humanity. Yeah, but he has none of it. He doesn't allow them to leave the planet. He'll destroy Enterprise unless they agree to stay here and become his fucking subject. The fucking Kirk's idea is that they're gonna trash talk him and they're gonna disobey everything he says. So they start trash talking him and fucking laughing in his face as he's commanding them to do stuff. And he's about to kill them, but they get saved by the girl. I don't really remember why the fuck she fell for Apollo, just because he was hot. Like, that's the thing. Apollo claims that he loves her, like genuinely loves her, even though I guess they only knew each other for like 2 hours. Ooh, nice! I finally fucking did something right.
For my brother.
See, last time we played as Scorpion, we killed Sub-Zero, and now it's like the other way around, and I guess now Sub-Zero's gonna become a cyborg. Huge downgrade, if you ask me. Going from a badass ninja to a dumbass robot. Yeah, so Kirk convinces the girl to start disobeying the guy. So when they have like a sweet moment where they're like talking about stuff and like, I'm gonna make you my queen, and she's like, I was only doing research on you, that's why I was nice to you. And then he's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. My godly charms didn't work on this bitch. So he starts like a huge fucking thunderstorm. They zapped his fucking chair he sat on with a laser, which looked really unimpressive, might I add. And then he has like a weird lighting fight where he's shooting lightning at Enterprise, which does nothing to it. Kind of unimpressive for a god, that his lightning powers do jack shit. I mean, it's like having a taser in your fingers. So they fucking melt his chair.
Father,
And I guess that causes him to, like, fucking lose all faith in living? Maybe, like, I interpreted that first time around as that chair being the source of his power. But maybe that's what they meant, is that humans destroying his chair, and that's, like, the final insult.
Go ruin someone else's life.
Which at that point, Apollo also lost faith in that he's ever going to have a following again, and then he just dies. I guess he reunites with all the other gods who died before.
Is this how you show your
And this
loyalty?
episode's over, so see you fellas in the next episode. Bye.